Man United 0, Manchester City 3. Welcome to the United Matters channel. How are you guys and where are you watching us from? I go by the names of Rock and David. Smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. It's a game where Manchester is blue and we've gone ahead to gift away those 3 points to the side of Manchester City. That is it. It's a gift from Erik ten Hag to Pep Guardiola. That is it. He never obviously went ahead to really tighten the screws, as went ahead to obviously play into this beautiful game of football as we took on the side of Manchester City. Erik ten Hag has gone ahead to really put up a gift to Pep Guardiola. That is it. How did he go ahead and obviously do this? Tune in and obviously I'm going to obviously break it down for you in a nutshell, because we are really saddened for all what is happening at Man United. But this is unacceptable because Erik ten Hag couldn't obviously go ahead and obviously gift us to the Lions like that. How did he do that? Amidst, what's the name of the guy? Amidst Casemiro out, the run out, who else was out? This other guy, Sergio Reguilon out. I wouldn't expect us to really lose like that. And the reason as to why we concede two goals and why we are too open in the second half is simple. Erik ten Hag taking off Sofyan Amrabat. How do you expect your CDM to play when you are only not even getting the ball through the midfield? Your CDM cannot obviously thrive like that. You need to obviously find yourself in a situation of really calling in lots and lots of him to obviously come in through and do the blocks. One will say, Rokani, he had a yellow card. Now, you think if at all Varane was in the field of play and got a yellow card, would he have taken him off? This was a technical blunder by Erik ten Hag. It was a matter of us trying to really keep Sofyan Amrabat here for some 20 minutes and see what happens. If he took off Sofyan Amrabat in the 60th minute, I would have said, all right, it's okay for him to obviously go ahead and do that. But he went ahead and did that in a very bad scenario. And Ten Hag has shown us that he's taking off his central midfielders in the previous 3 games. Against Sheffield, he takes off Casemiro, right? Against Copenhagen, he takes off Amrabat. Against Man City, he takes off Amrabat and he leaves that midfield for Scott McTominay. Now, if you also believe as a man that he cannot even play in a number 8, Scott McTominay, alongside Amrabat, that's why you played him ahead of Eriksen and Amrabat, then why do you play him as a CDM? What's the reason of playing him as a CDM in the second half? You saw to it that we were really very open. That midfield was really open and we lacked what we call presence into that midfield. And Erik ten Hag is answerable for this loss we've gone ahead to get today. No one else is answerable, but it's the manager of Man United, very answerable today. The way we played in the first half, I think for me it was okay. Apart from that, many question penalty was given to Man United, that was given to Man City. I think we had a very beautiful display. It was all about us coming in through, return, and obviously calm ourselves down, and obviously get to know that we need to get ourselves to where we deserve to be as a club of Man United. And how could we do that? By obviously keeping into the game. How do you keep it to the game? Keep it tight at the back, and then find out a pass. You get? But the substitute of Sofyan Amrabat was really very bad. And for this time, Ten Hag has gotten the substitutes wrong. He has gotten the substitutes totally wrong, especially that substitute of Sofyan Amrabat. In my own understanding and seeing, all what we lacked was threat from the wide areas of the pitch. And who is the best player you had on the bench that could obviously bring in threat at the beginning of the second half? It's none other than Alejandro Garnacho. So get on Garnacho into that game, put him through, see to it that he gets us to where we deserve to be as a club of Man United, and then the rest would have been history. But Erik ten Hag went ahead to say, I'm getting on Mason Mount. Now, in a game of this magnitude, How do you dare bring on Mason Mount first when in the previous 2-3 games he hasn't even gone ahead to start? You know, how do you dare do such a substitution? You had to bring on Alejandro Garnacho to come on through and obviously the needful to take us to where we deserve to be as a club of Man United. The substitutes that Erik ten Hag did were really, really abysmal. And it's one of those games that I'm here to talk about Erik ten Hag being the cause of us losing the game, because he makes a very big mistake of getting his best central attacking midfielder and he plays him as a right winger. You know, for almost that entire game, he played him as a right winger. And 10 minutes to the end of the game, he gets Antony to play as a right winger and plays Bruno Fernandes back into his position. So, what else do you want? The second goal we concede, it's because of lack of presence of Amrabat and Bruno Fernandes not being in his right position. Diego Delo finds himself in a position where he had overlapped, you get? And Bruno Fernandes needed to cover up as the right back of Man United. Does he? The answer is no. He's caught out of position and we are obviously slated. So, Mr. Erik ten Hag, this is a game you've gone ahead to cost us, and I think you can't really put out any reasons. Now, for those talking about the penalty, let me tell you, it doesn't take away the blame of Erik ten Hag. VAR is known for its being inconsistent. VAR and inconsistency are almost the same. You know, they flock together. They are inconsistent. When you're playing against Arsenal, Rasmus Højlund was really brought down and he had the ball. Let me show you. Højlund, Gabriel. Let me try to show you this. And the VAR never went ahead to obviously give a look at it. Let's see. Let me get it well on your screen and really show it to you. All right. Here I have it. I bring it. Where is it? There it is. As you see it, look at where the hand of Gabriel Magalhaes is. Rasmus Højlund had gotten past him and he got him down. This wasn't a penalty, but when you're playing against Manchester City, you know, they are given a penalty. So, all that is expected in the game of football and VAR because of the inconsistency they're going to hate obviously put up for a very long period of time when they're obviously doing and really officiating these games, because this was not given as a penalty, but for Højlund against Rodri, it's a penalty. I understand it's a penalty, but why isn't this VAR consistent? That is the big question that we have for this VAR. Why aren't they consistent? Why don't they keep their rulings the same? If that of Rodri is a penalty, then even this deserves to be a penalty. That is it. It 100% deserves to be a penalty, and I ask myself why it was not given as a penalty in favor of Manchester United when you're playing against Arsenal. So it's really, 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 really bad, and I don't know exactly what or how we are going to obviously explain that, but it looks like it's really a abysmal performance coming in through. It's a abysmal performance coming in through from Erik ten Hag, because you cannot obviously surrender us to the Wolves like that. He surrendered us to the Wolves like that in a very stupid and uncalled for way. That is Erik ten Hag for you. So I think it's a painful loss. I know. Losing against Manchester United is one of those losses that you wouldn't like as a fan of Man United. You would love, obviously, to really win at Old Trafford. Even if they beat us at their stadium, it's okay. But them coming in through and obviously running us off the park at Old Trafford is really unacceptable. And it's courtesy of our manager, Erik ten Hag. He has gone ahead to obviously be responsible for this. You know, it's bad setup. Bad setup. You don't take Amrabat off. Amrabat is your best player or your best CDM you have. Then why take him off? This is not Copenhagen. This is not Sheffield. You know, this is not Brentford. You are playing Man City with the best CDM in the world, that is Rodri. And how do you open up yourself like that and you really give up stupidly like that? It's really one of those that I don't really agree with. And I'm really furious. I'm really very vexed about Erik ten Hag, and he needs to obviously up his game because his tactics were naive of the kind of game he was playing. The big question is, did he surrender this game and obviously say, I can catch up in the league, but I have a Carabao Cup game to play. I need to defend that trophy. I also have a Champions League game to play. So I'm not going to obviously risk my players onto the field of play. That is Varane and Sergio Reguilon, you know. But in the history of Man United, this is a game that obviously gives us happiness. You know, it gives us happiness if at all we win it, but you just go ahead and obviously surrender your gloves and our opponent hits us like that. I think in the first half, we at least made it hard for them to obviously play against us. But in the second half, every time they really felt like we want to go through Man United, they had to. They had to, because that midfield was empty. Scott McTominay couldn't do anything. Eriksen couldn't do anything. Mason Mount couldn't do anything because we didn't have a rock in there for you. I understand Amrabat was not having a very good game, but you keep him on for the first 15 games, for the first minutes of the game, see to it that you really keep it tight, and then you make your substitutions and see how things go on. But no sooner had we gone ahead to obviously start the second half than Man City went ahead to obviously score another goal in the 80th minute. That is really stupid. Sorry, in the 49th minute. That is really uncalled for. And when we come out and obviously call out Erik ten Hag for that, it's not that I don't love him. I do love him as the manager, but there are certain subs that you make when they're only costing us as a team. Let's all admit, those subs he made were really bad. You cannot obviously make such substitutions when you're playing against a side like Manchester City. You can't. You can't. And that's really very, very, very naive of him going to play against Pep Guardiola and you open up your midfield like that against Rodri, you know, Bernardo Silva, you know, and John Stones. Then you obviously get in Eriksen to face them. That is really very naive. It's unacceptable at the club of Man United, and there is no way you obviously have even a way back into that game. All right, let's all admit that, okay, the manager wanted his team to obviously get into the scoring positions. But how does he get the scoring positions? He cannot, because the side of Manchester United, is really wanting to create, right? Now, tell me, how many chances did we create? All right, Erik ten Hag wanted to create. What did he create? If that was the case, what did Erik ten Hag create in the second half by bringing on Mason Mount? Did we score any goal? No. Did we have better chances like those we had in the first half? No. So what was his aim? What was he aiming at to bring in those players to obviously do that? It's really naive of him playing like that. So I 100% believe we lost this game of football on the hands of Erik ten Hag. I'm having a Jessica Amidu Rokani, good evening. It's not big to him, but sometimes you get the decisions wrong. We also believe that even the best managers in the world have gone ahead to get the decisions wrong. Then why are you leaving this play to playing those minutes? Obviously, Then Kennedy, Raradi, with due respect, this message is for Eric Ten Hag. He has to stop this nonsense by trying players wrong positions. How is it possible removing Amrabat and bringing on Mount? You know, if you tell me that you are getting like Lindelof in the CDM position, I would say, all right, he has gone ahead to play into that position in his previous games, but you cannot obviously continue doing that shit. That is it. Then they were all rubbish. Ref and VAR, they continued of killing us. How can you give such a penalty? For me, okay, we accept that penalty was given. It was faulty. What else did we do? Did we score any goal? If we scored any goal, would have gone here. We would have been here complaining for a penalty, and obviously saying it would have been a draw, but not even a shot, that crossed that line of Man City. So it shows you that we had nothing to do in that entire game, and the manager really killed us. So the penalty was not the problem. The tactics of the manager were the problem. Then Johnny Yamukama, thanks, brother, but Ten Hag should know what he wants, and even players are not motivated. They play as they don't train. The players did what they had to do, but the tactics of the manager were really ill. Then Minja, Man United,